So today I'm going to talk about the art of sustainable software and how you can future-proof your platform and what we at the workshop are doing about it. So why does software become legacy? And I think you all know this. Tech debt accumulates quite easily. You take design shortcuts, you apply short-term fixes, you prioritize feature delivery over maintenance, and sometimes, quite frankly, we're not very good at knowledge sharing. Sustainability really is a combination of maintainability, adaptability, and resilience over the entire lifespan of the system. And the way I see it, there are really 4 key principles that allow you to arrive at sustainability. It is modularity in your architecture, automation, measurement, and most importantly, ownership. So the principles of modularity really, first of all, are decoupling. You want to define self-contained components that can evolve completely separately from each other. You want to use layering, but you want to use it deliberately and not by coincidence and by accident. Separate the UI from your business logic and your data interfaces from your databases. Your layers also should be able to evolve independently. You want to design for change and not for the current requirement. And you want to make sure that it's possible to swap out dependencies. Switch databases, for example. That means refactoring can be done on a module-by-module basis, and it doesn't have to be one big bang, because in reality, we never get the opportunity to replace something big bang and in a massive investment. Avoid technology lock-in and use abstraction layers and infrastructure as code so that you remain portable. So how do you do this in practice? It's really about API first. You treat your interfaces as your primary product, and this is something that Amazon really has done with their AWS product, when in the early 2000s, they made that the single way that everything could communicate with each other. The ultimate implementation of modularity, obviously, is microservices, where each service does one thing and does that thing really well. And the service owns its own data, and it is deployed independently of everything else. Now, we don't all have the luxury to be able to work with microservices. It's something that might not be the right thing when you start up, and it might be that you've inherited legacy systems. So in that case, you could also achieve a degree of modularity, and a large degree of modularity, by working with monoliths or modular monoliths. So again, you think modular when you ship a monolith. You have internal boundaries and you have clean APIs. That allows you to move fast now, but you can then peel off services when you're ready, when it's the right time. And if you align your architecture and your organizational design, all of this becomes a lot easier because you automatically choose the right modularity and the right way that components interact with each other. Automation. Automation is the foundation, really, for evolution. It makes change survivable at scale. And I think for years now, we've all talked about test automation, or we've talked about deployment automation. And I think that's quite well established now, probably the same for you all. But upgrades is a thing that we still do very manually these days. So really, this is about taking automation even further into the upgrade cycle. So basically, if you can break it, it should be tested. And if it is something that you need to repeat, automate it. Get rid of configuration. Make sure that you define everything in code with the checks and the guardrails baked in, so it's repeatable. And remove the ceremony. Upgrades, releases, deployments. You shouldn't have to go to approval boards. You shouldn't have major discussions about it. It's something that just becomes part of the flow, and it's not a special event anymore. So in short, if you do not trust your pipeline, then it's not automation. It's just a trap. Measurement is also key in achieving sustainability, because without measuring, you don't really know what you're working towards and you don't really know where your risk areas are. So at the workshop, for example, we measure everything from security and quality, modularity, technology alignment. Are we aligned with the technology strategy and the tech stack that we have chosen? The currency of our versions, how mature are we with our automation? How resilient are our systems, and how complex is our code? Does it need a refactor? And all of these individual measurements, they create a component scorecard, and that is a shared definition of sustainability at granular level. Once you have that in place, you can roll it up into a health index. And that means that your component scores can tell you how an entire system, an entire product, perhaps a department, several teams, and even your entire company is doing. It allows you to set targets. It allows you to identify where you want to put your effort. And you can agree what acceptable looks like. You should not just measure the outcomes, though. You should also really measure what effort you're putting into it. Because over time, as your systems become more sustainable, you really should not have to put the same effort in anymore. You should be doing less firefighting, and you should see that in the effort you're putting into it. Your health indices have another really good benefit, and that is it gives you a shared language between product, engineering, and senior leadership. We've had a few talks today and yesterday about legacy and sustainability, and how do you get input, a buy-in from product, from leadership into this kind of work? Well, you get it by showing data, and you get it by having a shared language, and your health index can give you exactly that. Now, ownership is the last pillar, and without this, none of this is really going to work. You need to develop, cultivate an ownership mindset within the entire organization, starting with us, with the engineers. You have to rethink done. Done isn't anymore when you merge your code or when it's deployed. You need to own that system. It's yours to support, to decide its future, to improve, to evolve. You have to steward what you build. You don't just deliver features. You actually take care of the entire system. And you need to make sure that every service is a home that takes that responsibility. Care needs to be considered part of the craft. It's not boring stuff that we don't get time for. It is real engineering, and it needs time allocated. And you need to budget for that time. You need to allocate a percentage that allows you to take care of what has been the invisible work. So, patching and upgrades, test automation, all of that needs time. So free up a capacity, allocate a percentage. Now, it might be 10 to 15% if you've just developed something. It might be 50 to 100% for a legacy component. But get it on a table and agree a percentage and stick to it. Ownership in practice, you have to define what is owned. You have to make sure it's unambiguous and visible. There are no orphans, and there cannot be any gray zones. Otherwise, it just won't work. You have to group it intelligently so it all kind of fits together nicely. So following domain logic, for example, works really well. You can't just be ticket assignments. It would result in constant context switching, and it just wouldn't really be as efficient and effective. You can share, but if you share, you need to be deliberate. It has to make sense, and it has to be for a purpose, like, for example, avoiding silos or single points of failure. And the most important thing, you connect up your ownership to your health index. So you track its health. Everybody working on it needs to know what the health is and what we're working towards to. Now, bringing it all together, first of all, you've got to ask yourself some hard questions. How sustainable is my platform? Can the system evolve? Can any part of the system evolve without needing to change everything else? Is the ownership of that module clear? Where do we still need human intervention? What happens automatically? Do we know how healthy our components are? Do we know who's responsible for the health of that component? But you don't need to do it all at once. You can start just by asking the right questions. You can build the scorecards. You can assign ownership, and you can start prioritizing care, and that will go a very long way. So what are we doing at the workshop? Oh, that's my timer. What are we doing at the workshop about it? And I have to say, I think we had a very super exciting time. We have made a massive commitment of putting more than 10 teams solely focused onto future-proofing the platform and making our platform sustainable. We are redefining ownership expectations across the entire organization, so all the teams have exactly the same understanding of what it means to own a system, and we are ring-fencing time for maintaining the health indices across all the teams. So in other words, we are surfacing the invisible work and we're having a conversation about it with concrete data, with our product counterparts, with senior leadership, and we're all working in the same direction. We're actually going a bit further because we are also looking really at how we're organized. We have worked with the same product organization and domain organization for many years now, but it hasn't necessarily resulted in the most effective way of looking after ownership because some services started off as single service areas and have evolved into being shared services. So we are redesigning essentially how we're organized. And we're refocusing our product roadmaps onto domain-driven roadmap, modular architecture, so that we are not just tackling the tech debt, but we're also really looking into the future and how do we want to be organized in the future. So it is a really short talk. It's only a 10-minute lightning talk, so unfortunately I have not got the opportunity this time to go into a lot more detail. I will be outside at the workshop stand afterwards if you want to have more of a conversation with me about this and learn more of our organization. I'm also available on LinkedIn and via email, so feel free to reach out. There's plenty of examples I would love to share with you, but it will have to be another time. For now, I'll be happy to take some questions if you have any. Thank you. Hey.